March 15th introduces a noticeable shift in the atmosphere of communication. Over the past few days, actions and emotional realizations may have moved situations forward. Decisions may have been made, conversations may have occurred, and certain truths may have already begun surfacing. Today begins a period where communication itself becomes the driving force of change. Mercury, currently moving retrograde, aligns with the North Node while simultaneously forming tense aspects with Chiron and Aries. This combination often brings conversations that feel unusually significant. Words may carry more impact than expected, and information that surfaces now may feel connected to deeper patterns that have been developing for some time. Mercury retrograde naturally encourages reflection and revisiting unfinished matters. When it meets the North Node, those reflections often feel tied to growth or direction. A conversation today may not simply be about the present moment. It may connect to something from the past or reveal a pattern that influences the future. At the same time, Chiron and Aries introduce emotional sensitivity into this process. Chiron represents areas of vulnerability that encourage healing, while Aries often exposes truths that have been ignored or avoided. When communication interacts with these energies, discussions can reveal deeper feelings or perspectives that were not previously expressed. This does not necessarily mean conflict. More often, it means honesty begins breaking through layers of silence or misunderstanding. You may notice that certain topics keep returning to your attention. A conversation might circle back to a point that was never fully resolved. Someone may express something they have been holding back, or you may find yourself realizing that something you heard earlier now carries a deeper meaning. The key dynamic today is communication with consequence. Words spoken now can reveal truths that shift the direction of relationships, ideas, or personal understanding. What once seemed like a small conversation may turn out to be part of a much larger pattern unfolding. The invitation today is to listen carefully, not only to what is being said, but also to what the conversation reveals about the underlying emotional landscape around it. Because sometimes the most important turning points arrive not through dramatic events, but through a few words that suddenly make everything clearer. To understand the deeper atmosphere of March 15, we need to look at how Mercury interacts with the North Node while also forming tension with Chiron and Eris. This combination creates a psychological environment where communication does more than exchange information. It begins revealing underlying truths that may have been developing quietly for some time. Mercury represents the mind, language, interpretation, and the way people connect ideas through conversation. When Mercury is retrograde, its normal outward flow turns inward. Instead of simply delivering new information, the mind begins reviewing the past. Memories resurface. Old conversations gain new meaning. Situations that once seemed resolved may return to attention. When Mercury aligns with the North Node, this reflective process often feels connected to growth or destiny. The North Node symbolizes the direction of development that encourages evolution beyond familiar habits. When Mercury touches this point, the mind begins linking past experiences with future direction. Psychologically, this can create moments where a conversation feels unusually important. You may hear something that suddenly reframes an experience from the past. Someone might mention a detail that connects several events together. A message or interaction may appear that brings unfinished emotional material back into awareness. Chiron adds a deeper emotional layer to this process. Chiron represents wounds that lead to healing and understanding. When communication interacts with Chiron, discussions can reveal sensitive areas that people usually protect. These are often topics connected to vulnerability, identity, or personal history. Eris, on the other hand, represents disruption and the exposure of hidden truths. Its influence tends to remove the comfort of silence around certain subjects. When Eris is involved, conversations may bring forward perspectives that challenge established narratives. Together, these forces create a psychological environment where words can uncover emotional realities that were previously hidden. This does not necessarily mean confrontation. Often, it simply means that honesty becomes harder to avoid. Something that has been quietly influencing your life may suddenly become visible through communication. The retrograde motion of Mercury suggests that these revelations are not entirely new. They are often connected to something that has already occurred. The difference is that the mind is now ready to see the pattern more clearly. The deeper lesson of this moment is that understanding often arrives through dialogue. When conversations reveal the truth behind a situation, they provide the opportunity to move forward with greater awareness. Sometimes the most transformative insight begins with a single exchange that reveals what has been waiting beneath the surface. On a practical level, March 15th may feel like a day where conversations carry more weight than expected. You might begin the day thinking it will unfold normally, only to notice that certain discussions quickly move into deeper territory. A simple exchange may suddenly reveal an emotional layer that was previously unspoken. Someone might mention something casually that connects to a larger issue. You may even realize that something you said earlier in the week is now being interpreted differently by the people around you. This is one of the natural effects of Mercury retrograde. Communication tends to revisit unfinished topics. Conversations may circle back to ideas that were never fully resolved. Messages may require clarification. You might notice yourself repeating an explanation or returning to a topic because something about it still feels incomplete. At the same time, the presence of Chiron and Eris can make these conversations feel emotionally sensitive. You may notice that people react more strongly to certain topics than expected. A comment that seemed harmless might touch a deeper feeling. A discussion about something practical could unexpectedly reveal personal vulnerability. This does not mean the conversation went wrong. Often, it simply means that something important was revealed. Another pattern that may appear today is the resurfacing of information from the past. Someone might bring up an old memory, an unresolved disagreement, or a perspective that had not been expressed before. In some cases, you might even receive communication from someone you have not heard from in a while. When Mercury retrograde interacts with the North Node, these moments often feel strangely timely. The information appearing now may help explain something that happened earlier. A message might provide context that was missing before. A conversation may reveal a pattern you had not fully recognized until now. The key is to remain patient with the process. Communication during retrograde cycles can feel repetitive, but repetition often carries meaning. Each time a topic returns, the mind has another opportunity to understand it more clearly. Instead of trying to rush toward resolution, focus on listening carefully. Notice not only what people say, but also what their words reveal about their feelings and motivations. Sometimes the most important part of a conversation is the insight it provides into the emotional landscape beneath it. Now, bring this communication energy into your own experience sign by sign. Instead of predicting events, think of this as guidance for how each sign can work with the deeper insights that conversations may reveal today. If you're an Aries, today may reveal how your words influence the emotional atmosphere around you. Something you say may carry more weight than you intended. Growth for you comes from recognizing the power of communication and choosing honesty that also includes patience. If you're a Taurus, discussions around values, security, or shared resources may reveal deeper perspectives. You might learn something new about how someone else views stability or commitment. Growth comes from remaining open to viewpoints that challenge your assumptions. If you're a Gemini, this communication cycle may feel especially personal. A conversation could reveal something about your identity or how others perceive you. Growth lies in listening carefully without immediately defending your perspective. If you're a Cancer,
Internal reflections may surface through quiet conversations or memories. Something someone says might trigger a realization about your emotional history. Growth comes from allowing that awareness to guide healing rather than avoidance. If you're a Leo, friendships and social environments may highlight hidden dynamics. A discussion within a group could reveal how people truly feel about a shared situation. Growth comes from approaching these moments with curiosity instead of pride. If you're a Virgo, professional conversations or discussions about responsibilities may carry unexpected emotional meaning. Something related to work or goals may reveal deeper motivations behind your efforts. Growth lies in recognizing the emotional dimension behind practical decisions.
If you're a Libra, belief systems and personal philosophies may be questioned through dialogue. Someone may present a perspective that encourages you to reconsider a long-held view. Growth comes from allowing your understanding to evolve. If you're a Scorpio, deeper emotional topics may surface through communication. A conversation might reveal vulnerability that was previously hidden. Growth lies in approaching these moments with empathy rather than intensity. If you're a Sagittarius, relationships may become mirrors for understanding yourself. A partner or close connection might express something that shifts your perspective. Growth comes from listening without assuming the meaning too quickly. If you're a Capricorn, daily routines or responsibilities may reveal communication patterns that affect your well-being. A discussion about work or obligations may highlight areas where adjustment is needed. Growth lies in balancing practicality with emotional awareness. If you're an Aquarius, creativity and personal expression may become central themes in conversation today. Someone might respond strongly to something you share or create. Growth comes from embracing authenticity while remaining receptive to feedback. And if you're a Pisces, personal identity and direction may feel connected to what you hear from others. A conversation might reveal how your actions influence people around you. Growth lies in recognizing the role your voice plays in shaping your path. As we close March 15, it can be helpful to reflect on the role that communication plays in shaping our understanding of life. Over the past several days, many experiences may have encouraged action and emotional awareness. Decisions may have been made, and certain truths may have already begun surfacing. Today shifts the focus towards something more subtle but equally powerful: the words we exchange and the meanings we uncover through conversation. Sometimes the most important realizations do not arrive through dramatic events. They appear through dialogue. A sentence someone speaks may suddenly illuminate a pattern you had not fully recognized. A question might reveal feelings that have been quietly shaping your decisions. These moments can feel surprisingly significant. When communication connects with deeper emotional layers, it often reveals more than information. It reveals perspective. It shows how different people experience the same situation in very different ways. You may have noticed today that certain conversations stayed with you longer than expected. Perhaps something someone said continued echoing in your thoughts. Perhaps you realized that an interaction carried more meaning than it initially seemed. These moments are not random. They often appear when understanding is ready to deepen. Tonight, you might ask yourself a few quiet questions. What conversation today made me think differently about something in my life? What perspective did I hear that challenged my usual assumptions? And what truth might have been revealed through the words exchanged? Growth rarely happens in isolation. It develops through the insights we gain when our perspective meets the perspectives of others. Sometimes a single conversation can reveal a truth that quietly changes the direction of how we see ourselves and the world around us. And once that truth becomes visible, it has a way of guiding the choices we make next.